So with big changes coming at Warner Brothers over the next few years, and Justice League having an increasingly successful run since its release, what does this mean for a Justice League 2? After Warner Media declared that they would not be continuing with a Snyder Cut sequel, it felt like there would be no hope for it to eventually happen. But with multiple indications, has that now been reversed? Well, in this video, I'm going to be breaking down all the reasons why I think a Justice League 2 is now very possible, and how it could develop as we move into the future. Like the first film, a lot of things have to go right for this to happen, but as I keep saying in all of my Justice League videos, look what happened the first time around. But before I get into it, if you want to keep up to date on any of my future content on Zack Snyder's films, then don't forget to support this video by giving it a like rating, subscribing to the channel, and turning on your notifications. Also, feel free to check me out on Twitter, Facebook, Reddit, and Instagram at Cortex Videos, which is all linked in the description below. But without further ado, let's dive into my thoughts and reasoning behind why a Justice League 2 is now very possible. So with Army of the Dead being a big success for Netflix, with Zack Snyder's Justice League scoring critical approval and strong viewership for HBO Max and numerous platforms around the world, and with new leadership about to take over Warner Brothers, it's time for Warner Media and Discovery to offer Zack Snyder a chance to complete his Justice League story. There's no reasoning in saying that there isn't an audience for the project, or that it wouldn't be a significant property for the studio, and there's no point to let resentments, internal battles, or clickbait websites serve as problems to the right business and artistic answer. A Zack Snyder's Justice League Part 2 could, just for one example, be made as a mini-series and divided into chapters like the Snyder Cut, so audiences can stream it how they want to. At $25 million per chapter, it would have a bigger per episode budget than The Mandalorian, and on par with Marvel's spending for their new streaming series like WandaVision. If it's around 4 hours in runtime, that's perhaps 5 episodes with 48-minute slots, and would overall come to a cost of about $125 million. That's a very reasonable price for a high-quality big property with an existing fanbase in the millions. It would keep the engagement over weeks, continue to demonstrate the idea of DC content's ability to build separate divergent corners of its multiverse approach, and would continue making premium exclusive content that attracts both the built-in fanbase and new audiences. It further opens the door to additional content and spin-offs, along with adaptations of things such as Ben Affleck's Batman screenplay, and it would all depend on Zack Snyder deciding if he wanted to re-enter negotiations and get involved with Warner's DC brand again. But as he has pointed at in interviews, he loves the brand, and if the opportunity came about, he would of course want to do it. Then again, the Snyders have a lot on their schedule, having just launched a new IP at Netflix, but this could actually work to everyone's advantage. With Snyder potentially being one of the most talked about directors this year, it would help to attain new viewers to multiple brands and platforms, resulting in a win-win situation. Even if we did have to wait a bit longer for the Justice League sequel. The entire DCEU situation is again not set in stone, with new leadership at the very top who could reach out for different films and directors, building professional relationships across the board. This is something that has damaged Warner Brothers over the last few years, and it could act as a repairing of the problems. Warner Brothers used to be known as a studio that were filmmaker driven, and more recently, that hasn't been the case. So it would be a good step in the right direction and good publicity to take Snyder as one opportunity. The fact is, DC is a major iconic global brand, and it is very much in the brand's best interests to not just put out great new content, but also consistently demonstrate a willingness and desire to improve and re-examine past content for improvement and redemption. The more and better conversations people are having around these properties, the more it works to the brand, and thus the studio's advantage. rebuilding relationships with their biggest filmmakers such as Zack Snyder, Christopher Nolan and Denis Villeneuve, alongside this new Discovery takeover of the company, is something that I think they will look to achieve over the coming years, hence a Justice League sequel. The big selling point is that DC are going all in on their multiverse, and alongside properties like Matt Reeves' The Batman, which people are also very excited about, you can have them coexist. The Batman is coming out in theatres next year, and that doesn't mean we can't see a Justice League 2 released on HBO Max and theatres for a limited time. With the Flash film including Michael Keaton and Ben Affleck's Batman 2, the audience will soon get the multiverse approach that they are going for, and adding the Snyderverse alongside this, after its recent success, it will only bolster the potential that Warner Bros. Is sitting on. The point is, the studio and the streamer could work together to mine original content, multiple adaptations, and the entire nostalgic toy box of DC's history. Would fans tune in for all of this? Of course they would. Especially if the studios adopt an even smarter approach by combining the subscribers of HBO services with Discovery when they eventually merge. At the very least, all iterations of HBO should just get merged, and everyone who subscribes should be signed up for an account automatically, whether they use it or not, and in turn they could have a notice about the release. There's already over 200 million combined subscribers to HBO on cable, streaming, online accounts, and Discovery Plus. While obviously the streaming side subscription rate has been a struggle for Warner in several regards, they have the total audience if they can just figure out how to intelligently move them in the right direction. This scenario creates a big unified DCU of live-action TV streaming content alongside the primary live-action cinematic DCEU content. And then there are separate projects fleshing out other corners of the multiverse, including the Snyderverse. In this way, the studio could curate the DC content into more easily identifiable categories, and I think it will make it easier for new viewers to jump in, while encouraging long-time fans and viewers to take part in more content they haven't seen. DC is one of the greatest and recognisable pop culture brands in history, and they have almost a century of content published monthly in dozens of titles, from which the best ideas and stories can be adapted and otherwise used as inspiration for new ones. Any new media merger needs to maximise the use of that brand and expand the development of the IP further than ever before, and from what we've seen with the Snyder Cut, the payoff can and would be enormous. In China, it has been streamed over 250 million times, it's still the #1 movie in the UK, and the figures for HBO Max are slowly becoming clearer, with the Snyder Cut being the most streamed this year on the platform by a big margin. As you know, I've been in full support of Matt Reeves making the Batman film, just like Zack Snyder has shown too, and seeing a new trilogy that could show Batman in a new way, and even darker than ever, is something that hugely excites me. But I also think it's possible for fans to get all the different avenues of content that they want to see, and there's no denying that there is an equally large audience for the Snyderverse. I think it's possible for all fans to love the new content, to want more of it, and to also support the idea of developing additional content outside of primary theatrical franchises for a multiverse full of room for loads more. In that essence, if I was Warner Bros., it's time to take seriously the idea of developing a sequel to Zack Snyder's Justice League, even as other plans move ahead. It's a winning idea, and I think that the new heads at Warner Bros. Will seriously consider the opportunity on the table. Ultimately, it's down to this new Discovery and Warner Media merger whether a Justice League 2 will happen. But if you add up the points that I have mentioned, what studio in their right mind would deny the possibilities available? The Discovery boss said in an interview that he aims to unlock the potential of different IP and rebuild relationships with filmmakers. If that is the case, then I think a Justice League 2 will happen. But they were my thoughts on the current standing of a Snyder Cut sequel, and I'm intrigued to hear what you guys think about it, so let me know down below in the comment section. For more videos on Zack Snyder's work, including Justice League, then subscribe to the channel and turn on your notifications. Also, if you enjoyed this video, remember to leave a like rating and follow me on social media via the links in the description. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I've been Cortex, and as always, make some noise.